We're live, Miss Nikki.
Hi.
Hey,
Unprepared as
hey,
usual.
hey.
I'll never get used to that.
No, I don't know what to do to get you to, but here we
Well,
are.
at least this time my other YouTube window was muted. Progress.
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 Welcome back to A Thousand Eyes on One presents 30
Bam, bam,
Tuesday.
bam. I'm so excited
It's
to get back.
it's spooky
It's my favorite time
season.
of year. Spooky, spooky, spooky. And you know what? We're super excited because this year we're being fucking ambitious. 5 Tuesdays in a row, back to back to back to back to back, and we're doing some of our favorite shows and movies. And this year it's kind of special because I forgot what we did something last year. I don't remember what it was. Um, but this year it's interesting for me because we're doing different kinds of media. We're doing movies, right? So at the end we'll start backwards. So our final spooky season stream is going to be on Halloween. We're doing A Nightmare on Elm Street. The week before that we're doing Beetlejuice, which I can't wait. The week before that we're doing The Craft, classic, get your dark eyeliner out. Then before that we're going to do a Twilight Zone episode that Tanya has selected called
Mirror image,
Mirror Image. And then
I
today,
think.
yeah. Stay tuned. We'll get you that. We'll get you the name of that episode. And then today we are doing an inner sanctum mystery. I love old time radio. It's my like. I really enjoy it. Before the age of podcasting, this is what people listened to way back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. No TVs in your house, so you had to listen to radio shows. And one of my favorite shows is Inner Sanctum Mysteries. So today we're going to talk about an episode that I think is really interesting for many reasons, called The Dark Chamber. I will say real quick before we launch into this that this is not the episode that I wanted to do. I could not because there's like 300 and billion episodes like this. Um, there was one, and I can't remember if it was if it was Inner Sanctum Mysteries or if it was CBS Mystery Hour or if it was one of the other shows. But the other one was actually really creepy. It was about like these four or five men who went out into the desert, and I think they'd done some kind of crime and they were hiding out, and they were on native, or let's call it indigenous people's land, and they murdered the guy who was an indigenous person. And when they killed him, he cursed them and said that something about his ancestors, and they're going to know that they're coming for them because they're going to hear the song in the wind. And they didn't believe him. And every time, like, some guy heard a knock at the door and he went out, and the one guy who killed him heard the song on the wind, and no one believed him. And so every time somebody left, they died. And in the end, he ends up seeing that the guy that he killed wasn't really dead. It was a setup. It was like so dope. But I don't remember what that fucking episode is called.
Damn it. Now I want to watch it, so I have
Yeah,
to
I've been
find
I've
it.
been looking for it. So when I find it, I'll send it to you. But I'm
I
settling for the Dark Chamber.
I can confirm that the Twilight Zone episode is called Mirror Image and it's from the first season.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You did say that it was original.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm doing original Twilight Zone,
Yeah.
but we'll get into all of that next week when we do Twilight Zone. Tonight, it's
Yeah.
about Inner Sanctum
Inner
Mystery.
Sanctum Mysteries, and we will be joined shortly by a special guest. Um,
Yes.
yeah, Miss AK Watch, fan favorite. Excuse me. I'm gonna keep burping because I'm drinking a beer. So I'll
Oh,
do
yes,
my
it's
best.
30 Tuesday. So, of
30
course,
Tuesdays. Grab your
you gotta have a
beverage.
drink. I am having my usual golden monkey. I'm drinking it out of a solo cup. Oh, can't see that because I refuse to wash any more dishes tonight.
Shout out to that. I
Oh,
had a
shit.
clean pint glass, so I went with that. I am, what was this? Caramel Wine Imperial Stout by Torch and Crown. Sponsor us. Your beers are expensive.
Don't mind the rogue baby.
He is also drinking tonight. 32 ounces of fruits and vegetables in a pouch.
Here.
I got the hookup. Holler if you hear me.
Unbelievable. I put on Trolls just for the distraction, and it's All right. Bye.
Okay. So I've listened to this episode multiple times before today. That's why I liked it. There's something just really creepy about the whole thing. But before we launch in, and maybe AK will join us while we're talking about it, I have a question for you. Have you
Yes.
ever listened to old time radio before, or old time radio dramas?
Nope.
Oh, it was your
Nope.
first time.
This
What
is
did
my
you?
first time. I enjoyed it. Um, so obviously I listen to podcasts, duh. And I recently listened on podcasts and audiobooks,
Audiobooks, yeah.
and I recently listened to Sandman by Neil Gaiman,
Mm.
and it's done as a audio play.
Oh, I didn't
And
know that. Or maybe you've
it
told me that a
is.
bunch of times, and I haven't listened to it yet because I haven't finished reading the graphic novel.
It's really, really good. And so that reminded me of this, the old timey radio show with the music. And I love the organ. And it just felt so, I don't know, like
Yeah,
spooky and that, like, not exactly scary. Like, you're not too scared,
yeah, yeah.
kind of
It.
old timey way.
Oh, yeah. Um,
Oh my
I
God.
I like it because it just for the same reason that we like audiobooks, it's listening to words, and I like that during the golden age of radio, this era, like people were writing. I mean, technically, the way that they refer to this in like when they introduce it is that it's a radio play. So it
Mhm.
was a play written to be recorded and acted out, voice acted out on the radio. What did you think of the voice acting in this?
I liked it. It also reminded me of like just like Twilight Zone and those old shows and movies, how everyone has that weird accent and everything and everything is like extra dramatic. Like
You're
everything
not
they
gonna
say
get
is
me,
like,
see?
yeah.
Uh, yeah, there's definitely a lot of there. I don't think I wrote down all that many quotes, but there were definitely some phrases that I was like, you could never say that anymore. Like people would look at you really funny. I'm really into film noir as well. So
Mhm.
for me, this kind of like if I don't have time to watch something, it kind of hits that spot. With dames, with gams, and like
Yeah.
busting up the joint and all that kind of all that. I love that. So that was
Before
really
you
fun. Mhm.
before you continue, I'm gonna add AK to the stream.
AK, yes. I'm gonna ask her the same question. Hey, hey, hey!
My ladies,
Welcome.
I have a rogue
thank you for
baby.
the
I
efforts.
apologize.
How I, that's like status quo. I don't feel like that needs an announcement
No.
anymore. I expect it.
I thought
How
I
are you
locked
guys
him
this
away.
evening?
Doing pretty well.
Hanging in there.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking a Bud Ice because I can't do more than that tonight.
Fair enough. It is a
Yeah,
Tuesday.
It is a
indeed,
Tuesday.
indeed.
It is a Tuesday. I was just
Yeah.
asking Tanya, is have you ever listened to radio drama before?
Many, many moons ago,
All
there
right.
was it Tales from the Dark Side? Is it Tales from the Dark Side or Tales from the Crypt that had an
Mm.
old radio show that was I think late 80s, early 90s or something that my mom caught one time on PBS or something, and I kept
Mhm.
watching it because I would always just be up on Friday nights.
Mm.
So that was it. But besides that, I haven't didn't explore the genre too much. So this was a treat.
Yeah. I love it. I really like the golden age of radio because it's, you know, we think about all the things that we have available to us now, right? You can stream something on your phone. If you still have a
Mm-hmm.
VHS, and a VCR, you could watch it on there. You could put in a DVD. That's awesome.
I
That's
refuse to get
awesome.
rid of my old tech. I still have too
You
many things
shouldn't
I
get rid of
love
because
in
they
those
don't make
mediums.
they don't make them anymore. I remember the year when they stopped making VCRs. I read an article and it was like this is the last year that the company, the last one that was, I think it was a German company. I might be wrong about that, but it was the last year they made them, and it wasn't that long ago, maybe in the last 10 years. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's just all these things. So when I listen to these, I often listen to them if I'm traveling. or if I don't feel good, I'll just like lay in bed and listen. But it makes me like I'm transported back to those times when the only entertainment system you had in your house was a fucking radio. Right? This is before
I
TV.
listened to it on my lunch break today, and I always keep the dimmer in my office off, so it's usually very, very dim in there. So yeah, I turned off the lights, so the only lights were from my computer, and I just listened like that on my lunch break, and it was a thrill. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Awesome. I always like hear like fireplace crackling in the background, and imagine like a bunch of people spread out on their shitty carpet around like this monster radio system.
Yeah.
Radio. What do they call them? Entertainment.
Is that what they? Yeah. What did they call those huge things?
Yeah, I guess it was
Before
just the radio.
televisions were a thing.
Like, and having to actually like find the right dial station, because now we just click to digitally, but you're actually having to tune it to the station.
That was gonna be my background until I looked. I said, okay, nope, gotta match the set. It's an old-time radio that I was gonna have behind me.
Oh, that would have been great. Huh. All right. Well, like I said, I've seen this already. I've listened to this already. So I will give you guys a little bit of background because I wanted to, if I can find the page with that on, because I just wanted to give you guys a little background. So this episode aired on December 11th, 1945. It was created by Hyman Brown, who they mentioned in the episode, and he was like a crazy big time radio producer director. He did something like 30,000 radio episodes, and that includes like Dick Tracy and Flash Gordon and CBS Mystery Radio Hour. Other people who appeared that he directed and also appeared on this series were Frank Sinatra and Orson Welles, Gregory Peck, and Boris Karloff. Like this, he had the big guns coming in there. So the host there were two hosts originally. There was this guy who you heard, your host Raymond, Mr. Creepy Sardonism, and then later on, forgive me, I forget the gentleman's name who took over. But yeah, that's that. And then of course you have our special co-host, Miss Mary Bennett, the Lipton tea lady.
Lipton tea lady.
The Lipton tea. It's always so brisk.
Always so brisk. It's so funny because it wasn't until I started listening to these that I realized that the whole "it's brisk, baby" as actually like,
their thing.
That's their thing.
That was their thing, yeah.
And it just
I'd like to point out that AK is wearing red lipstick, which like we never see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know where I was coming. I've done my homework.
I told Tanya sent me a picture, and I was like, I hope that you're snapping and singing the song about the Jets.
Can I also point out, I didn't know Lipton's made soup. Really? Until listening to these commercials.
No way.
Yeah, like they make like packet soups.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my mom never bought those, so I never saw them. Wow.
Yeah, you can turn it into soup, or you could turn it into dip if you add like sour cream. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're actually pretty good. They're really salty though.
They're super salty.
Yeah, those powdered dips usually are.
Yeah.
My mom and like my grandma and stuff, they usually get the Grace Foods version, which is the Jamaican brand. But when they can't find that, they get the Lipton soup version, and they add it to soup that they're already making. So they don't just like use that in hot water. Like they make soup and then they add the soup packet to it.
It's like
they juice it up.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a bouillon, but they add like little tiny noodles too. I do it too when I make soup. My soup is like all sodium and MSG.
Shout out to that.
I mean, that tastes good though.
It's wonderful.
So good. Yeah,
it's so good.
Man, I guess so. Tell me. Should I don't know. Should I set it up or should I talk about this?
Oh well, I was kind of talking about listening to it. So the first time I listened to it, I was super, super tired, and I got my noise canceling headphones. I laid on the couch, I put them on, and he started talking, and then I woke up to the Lipton tea lady ending the show, and I was like, okay, whoops.
Good job.
So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go take a nap, and I'm gonna change the setting and do this again. So I took a nap, and I came back, and I listened to it again, and this time I just listened to it while like I have to do something with my hands. It's hard for me to just sit and not do anything else while I'm listening. So I sat and I played just like a word puzzle and listened to it. And then I listened to it again today walking around, and I regretted not having my noise cancellation headphones because I just had in AirPods.
Mm.
Excuse me. But I listened to it, and then today when I was listening to it, as I don't know, something about walking around and seeing people while listening to it made it
Mm.
creepier in a way. Like it
Mm.
was broad daylight and I'm like looking at people and I have this creepy voice going in my head. Like I kind of felt like the creepy one.
Yeah.
It's kind of fitting though, isn't it? Because we only have this bare setup of them being in some place somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem like the place is like too hidden, because I mean the cops found it easily enough.
Right. I think
And they
one
were
guy said it was a house.
Yeah, so he's probably just in some random house next door with like soundproof windows or something, so no one can hear what's going on.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Similarly, I have a hard time. I feel guilty when I just listen to an audiobook or like these radio shows. Like if I'm sick and I'm laying in bed, then I'll just listen.
Yeah.
Because, like when I have a flare
Mhm.
up or something, then I can't do anything else really. But usually when I'm listening, I'll embroider. I make stuff for like myself and whatever. And it feels very, very old timey.
I
Like
was
here
gonna
I am
say, okay,
sitting like
grandmother Nikki.
embroidering, I feel like,
It's like you're low-key cosplaying without cosplaying.
right?
Yeah.
So I'll embroider and I'll listen to these, especially if I'm going to listen to a few like back to back.
Next
But
time I'll darn some socks.
yes, darn some socks, like knit some booties, stitch some buttons.
BRB ladies.
Hmm. Yeah, stitch a button back on a shirt. Um, sew in a zipper. But it's so funny that I do those things because it makes me feel like I have been being transported back in time, except for the fact that I'm either listening to it on headphones or my smart speaker, or like I have my projector turned on so you can only see the thing, like the logo.
Mhm.
I think I actually started listening to old time radio shows when back at one of my old jobs because I would just finish my work so quickly. This is back at the dawn of like internet at work, many, many, many,
Mhm.
many moons ago.
Yeah.
And that's how I started listening. But yeah, this episode is something that actually I'll wait for. Well, AK will come back, but Kenneth Lynch, that's the voice actor who plays Joe Watson.
Oh, what is
Whoa,
that?
what happened?
It's the blob.
Sorry.
Ooh, add that to the list. Add that to the list.
I threw my
used
phone on the
The
couch.
Okay.
first blob,
Yeah,
dude.
I used to love the blob when I was a kid.
That's a
Anyway.
good. I watched that
I've
like
never
back to
seen
back
it.
to back
I've
sometimes.
never seen it.
Ma'am.
It's on my Tubi list, and I was like, oh, I'll watch it. But Kenneth Lynch is the
Let's
actor
chat
who
about it.
plays Joe. I'm super down, and he's actually he was an actor. He was in Gunsmoke and Star Trek: The Original Series, and he was also in an episode of The Twilight Zone. Tanya, Mr. Denton on Doomsday. That's the name of that episode.
I'll have to find that one.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Yeah.
that. I guess before we get into the actual episode, let's talk about our host, Raymond and Mary Bennett, the Lippy Tea Lady. What did you guys think?
The guy who talks like this. I loved him. I loved him. I
Yeah.
love the intentional creepiness. I love the campiness of just like, I mean, I guess he wasn't trying to be, it's camp now, but it wasn't.
The
It
old
was
timey
normal.
dad jokes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love the
I'm
shitty.
sure they're used to going for a good slaying. Sir.
And the funny thing is like every episode there's just like a wealth of new ones. Like I don't know how the writers came up with all these they're dad jokes.
Well, they used to
now.
have cocaine in their Coca-Cola, so.
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
True story.
And absinthe used to be like medicine. So
Hallucinogenic.
It's so funny that I said absinthe because I was just going to mention that I was at a work party last week and they had Jello shots, and the Jello shots were Prosecco, Aperol, and absinthe.
oh my.
I know
See,
they were
I'm not a fan of
delicious.
absinthe.
I would like to try one of those.
They were delicious.
I don't like licorice.
Yeah,
And so
I don't
absinthe
either.
doesn't do it for me. But I did make an absinthe shot once, and I called it Wildfire.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Remember that? And it
Oh,
was
yeah.
absinthe. It was absinthe with simple syrup, and jalapeno simple syrup, and a little bit of water in a shot.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I like
That could be a
Pretty good.
series of shorts for 30 Tuesdays for you guys right there. Halloween
Yeah.
drinks.
Halloween drinks. Oh,
Don't even get me started. I love making drinks.
Tanya's a mixologist. I
Here
like
for it.
I don't like licorice either, but I will tolerate absinthe because I want to see what happens. But it's just like it's really hard to get the real stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, the stuff we buy at the store
I've
now isn't
never had
gonna.
it.
Yeah, I've been to absinthe bars in Europe, and I never saw anything, but I did feel a little strange.
The first time, I shouldn't even say this live.
Well,
We've already
now you
started.
started.
Well, hopefully, Radar doesn't go back and watch our streams as much
He's
as he
live
supports
now.
us. I know, right? He's watching right now. We drank absinthe once, like the first time, and I did it like with the pour over the sugar
The
cube,
sugar
and I
cube.
light it
That's
on
the only
fire. I did
way.
that. Yeah, I did that
Mhm.
whole thing, and I can't remember what I said to him. Like he said something to me, and I think I didn't respond or something. And then he was by this time he's like drunk off absinthe, and he was like, maybe I should have punched you in the stomach instead. But I can't remember what it was. It was in response to something, so like it made sense in context, but it was such a wild statement to hear from him because he's a completely non-violent person in like every way.
I was talking to Tanya about him the other day. I was like, he just like runs through meadows and like butterflies flap to the beat of
And
his
happily frolics.
Unless it's like mice or
Yep.
insects, he is completely non-violent. And yet he was like, maybe I should have punched you in the stomach or something. It was crazy.
Yeah, see, you should have been listening here. See,
Yeah, it was a wild, wild statement that
Wow.
there was context that I just don't remember, but that's what I think of now. And I think of absinthe, that it like drove him
That's
mad.
hilarious.
I always think of that scene in Girls Trip
Oh yeah,
with was it Queen Latifah and one some two of them took it
Tiffany
and were
Haddish.
Mhm.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't do that to you anymore. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's talk about the story.
Anymore.
Yeah.
You can only get that stuff in like Eastern European countries.
I'll keep
Or-
that in mind.
Yeah.
Next
I
time
know a
Radar
few
goes to
guys.
Georgia.
All right. I can make some phone calls.
Yeah. Sometimes some places and some bars you can find it. Like not here though. Here it's wildly illegal, but they do a variation of it. But yeah, it can be found.
So in the story, this guy wakes up in this room, this dark room.
Dum dum dum.
The only thing he sees is or I guess he finds a phone on the table. There's nothing else he can see, right?
Yeah.
Some chairs.
He calls for help, and the police think it's a joke.
Can you talk
And-
about the police response? He's like,
Oh, the
"Help,
police
I
response
don't
was
know where I
horrible.
don't know where I am. It's just like, can you help
Bruh.
me?" He's like, "What do you want me to do about that?"
I have a question.
Yes.
For the
Yes.
gentlemen that were on the phone and for the one that comes to the house, were they actually cops though?
Okay. Here's the thing. I say yes because they were leaning really hard into the Irish stereotypes of cops. His name was
Mm.
O'Brien, and they had the Irish
Very
accent,
true.
right? So
You're right.
I mean, my dad's family, they were my grandfather was like the chief of police in a town, and he was very much Irish. So yeah, I believe that they were cops because they were leading in to that Irish. Everyone, basically, we know he's a cop because his accent was Irish. at
The
that
accent.
time.
You know, I found it interesting
Yeah.
how the cop didn't take him seriously, because I would have expected that more if it was the woman who had called. I saw it.
Interesting.
It made sense to me in the other way. So in my mind, it made sense when the woman is calling and they're just saying it's hysteria.
Right.
But the fact that it was another
Mhm.
man and that he wasn't taken seriously, to me, was really the surprising part, because you're used to the women not being
Yeah.
taken seriously. So it's
Yeah.
hysteria.
They do touch on that once
Mhm.
they actually do the live check-in.
Mhm.
Is we see very heavily that he does not pay attention to her at all.
No,
No,
no.
it's funny that you say that, not taking him seriously, because when you said that, immediately made me think of Pleasantville, like how the firemen, that
Mm.
what they do is they come and pull cats out of trees. They've actually never actually had a scene of fire. We should do Pleasantville, actually. I'm gonna
Add
add
it
that
to the
to
list.
Pleasantville. Adding it in the chat here. Um, yeah, but so yeah, he wakes up in this room just alone, and the cops aren't taking him seriously. Ugh.
And then the other guy calling, like the despair in his voice when he found out it's another guy calling from the same place. Now I have a question. That guy was
Yes,
definitely, that was a real person and he was killed, right?
I believe so. I've
Hmm.
listened to it many
I think so.
times, and I don't think his name was Lazari, something Lazari. But yeah, he they pick up the phone and he's on the line, which does not happen anymore, right? Because
Hmm.
this
Because we
is
have our,
definitely a
yeah,
thing of the past, because we all have our our own lines. But yeah, I still think that he was another person, and not just what's his name,
the
Dr. John
Dr. Watts.
Helming,
Mhm.
Yeah.
pretending to be him.
And how long had he been there? Because, and how long
It
had
seemed
he
like he had
also been
just woken
trying
up
the phone?
too.
Because
It seemed like he
did he
had
say, did he say he was
just
just
woken
woken?
up there too.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah, 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 yeah. You're
he
right.
hadn't mentioned that he'd been there for a while. It was a similar situation.
Yeah, he said I've just been here trying to make a call out, but no one's been answering.
No,
So the line was
exactly.
tied up because he was talking to the cops.
Exactly. So like Joe woke up in the strange place. Just I forgot. I wrote his name down. Something Lazari. Ben Lazari also woke up in the same place. But we've got this Dr. Helming, Dr. John Helming, his scientist.
Just
Joe's like
mad scientist
he was
studying
like,
The
fear.
hey.
mad scientist.
Joe's like, who the fuck are you? What are you doing? I'm not going to tell you anything. He's like, I already
He's like,
know
oh,
everything about
I
you.
already know
So
that.
creepy.
He's like, what? Did you like kidnap
Ugh.
me or whatever? And he was just like, yes, that's right.
He was like, well, yes. I don't have to tell you anything. Well, that's
I
it. That
already
was a
know
surprise to
everything.
him. He's like, oh, yeah, you're absolutely right, actually. You don't have to tell me anything. I didn't
I
think you
will
would notice
say,
that.
I will say I should have known better just because of the time period that this was created, but I did not expect it to end well for
Mm,
Mr. Watson.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I mean, this is 1945, right?
Yeah, so like it wasn't as like
Hmm.
twisted as horror has gotten.
Yeah. You know what I wrote down? I wrote that this is like, because we see this in other horror movies and horror experiences now, TV shows, right? People,
Yeah.
like, how afraid would you be if you just woke up in a room that you didn't know? Like, you were on your way to work. This guy, he was making a laundry delivery, and then he woke up and he was in a different room. It like lights out. And so I wrote down that this is Saw rated PG, like before any
Yeah.
of the crazy things happen, right?
And he's not no like just random little dude. I mean, he's a vet. He
Yep,
has a
he's
Brown
Right.
Star and a Purple Heart, so he was a brave, very much in the thick of the
Mhm.
action
Yeah,
vet.
yeah.
So
Brown Heart.
And
Brown Star.
just oof.
What was it?
Bronze Star and Purple Heart.
Okay.
Purple
Bronze
Heart,
Star, Purple Heart.
yeah, Purple
Sorry.
Heart
Purple
you
Yeah.
Heart's
get
injury.
if you're wounded in combat, and a
Hmm.
Bronze Star is if you like have a heroic achievement, or
Hmm.
heroic service, or merit, merit service or combat. But that happens in a combat zone. So yeah, he just got back from the war.
Yeah.
And so did the other guy, actually, Ben Lazari. They mentioned that too, that he's well, we'll get into that when the doctor
And
comes up.
he says he's been studying this in like mice and I don't know, rabbits or something like that. So he's been it's such a creepy study. Like so it's like you're just freaking out these mice.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. Like how are you actually controlling the environment when it comes to these animals? Because
yeah,
they don't have human thought. Like
right.
how are you even telling what your results are to
Um,
your experiments?
well, let me lean into my psych degree, guys. So, what's interesting is that he says that this is an experiment in fear, right?
Hmm.
He is
Mm.
right. He wants to see how people react, have a fear response. But what it really is an experiment in learned helplessness. And the term learned helplessness comes from when basically people like attempting to do something, right? I like, oh my God, I want to get out of this room, but I can't get out of this room. And every time I try, it goes wrong. So I just stop trying. I give up. I resign
Mhm.
myself to the fact that I'm stuck in this room forever. And you can do that with mice and rats and stuff. It's like you give them you try to show them, to teach them a behavior, and every time the behavior that's supposed to lead to the reward doesn't work out, they just stop trying. So that's what this is really about.
And that's what he had expected Watson to do.
Yeah, he expects him to
Mm.
give up and just stop trying. And we see a few times that Watson is like, he's on the verge of just giving up. I mean, this is
So
also gaslighting 101.
Yeah.
he would.
I
I
did have
found
a
it
moment.
interesting.
Go
Sorry,
ahead,
no, go
Alicia.
ahead. Tanya.
No.
I found it interesting that the doc was pushing the idea of fear consistency, like back to back to back for a good like 3 or 4 different sentences. This is about fear, and are you afraid because you don't know what's going to happen? Are you afraid because this, because of that? And our second character, there's another character that comes in, and also at the end kind of had me side eyeing because they were pushing the same questions about fear and something like that, but. I don't know. I figured that was part of his experiment because he wanted to just make it known you're supposed to be afraid. I know all these things about you. I know what you're going to do. No matter how hard you try, you're going to have to give up because I've already planned for everything. I know how this is going to end.
I personally had a moment of fear when he started talking about how attractive the woman trapped with him was. And I was like, I swear to God, if Nikki sent me a sexual assault
Oh,
story,
never.
I'm gonna go to her. I'm gonna go to her apartment and I'm gonna beat her legs.
We just talked.
Ouch!
Can we just talk about how Tanya in our last Wheel of Time podcast said she would never hurt me?
I did, unless you sent me sexual assault stories.
Dude, I would never.
See,
Okay.
these are all little plot points,
especially with no
that
trigger
are right
warning.
down
No, I mean, I send you, every time I send
under
you,
the list because Tanya.
Yeah, no. If I feel like anything's the slightest bit trigger, we send each other trigger warnings.
Yeah,
We're like, listen, trigger warning, and then we push send.
yeah.
That
Yeah,
was
no.
exactly my note.
So yeah, I had this
on
moment
Joe.
of like, I know she didn't. No, she couldn't have. And he's like, and then he starts calling her baby after he sees her. His
Even
Well,
before
it's
that, he does it
before
before
he
that.
sees her. Before he sees her, he calls her baby.
He
And
starts
I
calling
wrote
her
that
baby
down.
within like a minute.
Yeah, he does. Because he's like, because he basically what happens is Helming comes in the room, right? And he brings this, he leaves. He was like, we're gonna find out basically whether this sphere experiment works. And then he leaves. Like for me, I was like, this person just came in the room and told me that he was studying like fear, like, and then he just left, right? For me, I was like, they're just going to release 100 tarantulas into the room. I'm not going to be able to do anything about it, right? And then I'm going to die of a heart attack.
Why is that the first thought? Good Lord.
Because if it's an experiment for fear for me, that's how you get me. Release tarantulas into the room and just tell me. And then I will throw up and die choking on my own vomit, and they'll eat me. Like, that's my fear response. Tanya's grief response is vomit. My fear response is vomit when it's
Isn't that horrible?
Yeah.
It's the worst. It's first of all, it's embarrassing. And second of all, it's like I literally just can't control it. And so like at funerals and things I throw up.
Yeah. So Dr. Helming, he leaves the room, and then the next thing we know, there's suddenly this woman, and she's like, "Who the fuck are you? Where am I? How did I get here? Who are like?" And he cracks me up because he's like, he put the snatch on you too, huh? And I'm like,
Can't say that now.
Oh,
every line that he says,
right? And she was like, and then she's scared, but she's so casual about it. She's like, yeah, chloroform, I think.
That is why
Like, girl.
towards the end
Like,
I started side-eyeing her like, hold on there, Betty. Are you actually really a captive? I don't.
Yeah, right. It really makes you
I
wonder.
was suspicious of her.
Oh yeah, me too.
She's far too calm.
Yeah, and then she's far too. I was gonna say klug, which is anyway. She's far too smart, and that's why I was suspicious of her. She's like, no, he must be listening, and I was like, oh yeah, no, that's a good. He might be listening.
In the dark?
Then he was.
And then the doc starts talking.
He's like, I'm still
very astute.
He's like, actually, I'm in the room too. And I'm like, wait a second. So not only did you bring a new person into the room, but you're in here too, and we're all in the dark, and you've been listening to this conversation.
That's like that moment just now where I was talking to you guys, and on the corner of my screen, I saw a little face pop up, and I was like, what the fuck? Very, very spooky.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then Helming starts talking about, he's like, oh, I wanted to see what would happen if I introduced somebody that you have to be responsible for into the mix, right?
Because
And
automatically, if there's a woman, he has to protect
At
her.
that time,
What?
yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what? Where else did we see this, Tanya?
Where?
We just saw this in a book that we did for book club. In the
The Good Luck
first,
Girls?
no, in Lilith's Brood, the first book,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Where Lilith, she awakens the women first, but then she awakens that guy who's the cop because she thinks she'll be able to control him if he has someone to protect.
To protect, yeah. I'm going to put on lipstick.
Yeah,
Don't mind
go
me.
for it. Yeah, go for it. So we know that that's happening, but that's the first instance of us hearing Joe. He's like, "It's okay, hold on, baby," and I'm like,
Yeah, hold on,
on.
baby.
I was like,
"Hold on,
baby.
baby." But you know,
Like
this,
the record scratched in my brain when
right?
he said that line.
I mean, was it better that he said baby than saying toots? I don't know, because toots, right? It's like, hold on, toots.
Hold on, sugar tits.
It's just like
Oh,
so
man.
quickly this is happening, and that's when they get the phone. That's when they pick up the line and try to call the cops again, right? Because now this is the third time he's calling. Yes, old time radio dial. This is the third time that, I think it's the third time that he's calling the cops, and he's like, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
have you guys traced the call yet?" In my mind, I was like, "Oh wait, did they have that technology in 1945?"
I didn't know they did.
Yeah. Like maybe that's when you just had to stay on the phone for. Let me Googs. I'm gonna go.
I want to say they would, because I don't think that line would be in there if it's not something people could identify with.
Let's see.
While you look that up, I'll tell you a fun story about calls being traced. When I was a kid, when we were at church, sometimes, like after church, when it was just like after Sunday school, we'd just be kind of waiting. Like kids would go to the payphone and just call 911 and hang up. And 911, we didn't know that 911 could trace your calls. I didn't do it. I just want to say that for the record. I didn't do it, but other kids did it. They didn't know that 911
Wow.
would trace the call, and then the police
Would
showed up
show
to
up.
the church. Yeah, the police showed up to the
Mhm.
church, and all these kids got in trouble. And I was like, I'm glad I wasn't calling 911.
Well, you know what? Once upon a
That's
time,
hilarious.
one of my sisters, who I shall not name, but I'll tell you in the chat, we were driving. We were visiting the States for some reason or whatever. And we were driving from, let's say, Delaware to Massachusetts. And we stopped at a rest stop that had like a phone booth, like it was an American phone booth. We're like, oh, look at the phone booth. It looks like just like in the movies, right? Because German ones don't look like that.
Mhm.
And we're like playing and pretending to call people. Well, one of them dialed 911 and we didn't know. So we're sitting in the parked car waiting for my parents to come back. And all of a sudden the police come and they're looking around and like, did somebody call 911? And she was just like, in the back of the car, because we didn't know
Oh,
that people really
no.
came if you called, unless you live in the hood. But that's a whole
I
other
used
story.
to call 911 once because my bike got stolen.
Aww,
When I lived in
Why
the
does that not
suburbs.
surprise me?
that's adorable.
I
I
mean,
mean,
my
it was
bike
an
got-
emergency for you.
It was an emergency for me, and my uncle was worked for the police station, so like I called 911.
There was a theft.
and they responded, and like my uncle came by and was like, just relax, and then
Hilarious.
and then I told my brother. My cousin said he knew who had it, and my brother left and came back all dirty and scuffed up with my bike. But yes, I called 911 before because my bike was stolen.
I love it. I'm still Googling. It's a little hard to trace, but yeah. So apparently they could trace calls back there, but they got a call from this. He picks up the phone to call someone else, and if you were born after, I don't know, the year 2000, this is not something like crossed lines was a thing. You would pick up the
Mhm.
phone sometimes, and you would hear somebody else talking, and you'd be
Or
like,
if the other
"Oh,
person hadn't hung up, sometimes you pick up your phone
ooh,
and they're still on your line.
yeah."
Yep.
That had happened to me before.
Yeah, that's or your parents could pick up the phone while you were on the phone. If there was another phone in the house, they'd start to dial, and you'd be like, boop, 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 and you'd be like, oh, shit. And if you weren't paying attention because your conversation was so great, they would just sit and listen.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Unless you really kept your ear keen to the sounds of the other line being picked
Picking
up,
up,
you're not going to notice.
And then if you were nosy, you got really good at like picking up the phone and putting your finger in then so the thing was still depressed and it didn't pick up and then letting it up slowly so you could hear the conversation on the other line.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
There are tricks to the trade. There are tricks to the trade.
Just while we're just talking about
I'm not
phones,
gonna tell you
it's
how
so
I know
funny.
that, but
It's so funny that the little things we had to do to be sneaky with that just like are out the window now because everyone has a smartphone. Like I used to call the time. I would call the time, get the time and the weather, and stay on the line and have it repeat so that when my friends would call me late, I would get the tone that somebody's calling on the other line and pick up so my mom wouldn't hear the phone ringing. Yeah.
Ooh, that's
clever.
Ooh.
That's one that I never used.
Like once we got call waiting, I would just call the time and let the time and the weather play over and over.
That's hilarious.
And so I
think you were talking about like time and weather, but I remember like when I came back here for the summers, like calling the movie theater line just to hear all
movie
the movies
phone
that were playing.
Hello and welcome to movie phone.
Right, and they tell you all the movies that were playing that night, and if you like someone came and talked to you when it was over, like in the middle of it, you missed it, you had to listen to the whole thing.
You had to listen to it all over again.
Oh,
Mr. Movie Phone.
Life was hard before the internet.
These kids don't know. I know I sound old as hell. These kids don't know how good
they really don't. It's so
buying advance tickets, choosing your seats,
choosing your seat.
I had to
now you have to get there like an hour early,
playing and go stand and wait in line and hope.
Yeah, hope that one of your friends got there before you. Oh man,
to hold seats. Yep.
It's funny. Like I was at my parents' house this weekend, and I had I was talking. Shout out to my friend Nate, but I was talking to my friend Nate, and we ended up having like a 6-hour phone conversation because we were just like drinking wine and giggling and talking about all these things. And he was like, "This is really back in the '90s," and I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You're at your parents' house trying to whisper and be quiet on the phone, and we're laughing." And it's like, and we would just talk for 6 hours. I was like, you know what? You're right. The only thing missing was the phone cord because I would have been twirling it around my fingers and my arm. My arms, and we had such a great time, and I don't remember the last time that I did that, but like that's how we hung out,
That's still how I hang out with you and my sister.
I know. Yes, that's true.
How long did your phone cords get?
Mine.
Remember when you bought them? They were usually only about like this long, but then they would grow
the kitchen wall
over time.
We had a super long one when the phone made it to the kitchen wall. We had like a super long one. I still remember having a rotary phone, and I know those were kind of out of style when we were kids, but like my grandparents still had a rotary phone, and I used to go through the phone book and call people.
Yeah,
the phone book. Do you even know what the phone book is?
The phone book doesn't. Yeah.
Those used to be delivered. They are not everybody's anymore.
Actually, now that I think about it, are our phone numbers still public?
Yes.
Like, can you Google?
Unless you're paying for the privacy with your
you can Google like Yellow Pages and just find people.
White Pages.
White Pages.
I thought White Pages was for business.
Yellow Pages are the companies.
Oh.
Yellow Pages are the companies. White Pages are people.
White Pages.
Oh.
Well, I've Googled White Pages. Oh, it's White Pages. It's not giving me any number. Oh. Huh. It's not giving me an exact location, but it is really close to where my house is.
Well, now I have to Google
it. So I remember up until probably within the last 10 years, I was still getting Yellow Pages and White Pages delivered, like all around my apartment complex.
Wow. It says like
the exact for the people search is Jon Snow.
It says it's like you need in order to get the owner's name, you have to unlock, and then they'll give you my name and aliases, age and date of birth, 3 other phone numbers, 4 email addresses, 10 relatives and associates.
I was going to say, and
10 current. It's
not hard.
Addresses.
I just found myself,
and it's only like $5 on some of those sites. It's
I just found myself, and it's not all accurate. But it has my full name, my full maiden name, my mother's full name, my mother-in-law's full name, and my husband's name.
Yep.
But it has my old location, my current location, my childhood location, And another location that I've never been to or lived in, so I don't know where that came from.
Someone else probably with the same name or
And
some
another one
variation.
with my name. It says New York, Midtown Manhattan.
Maybe it's a work thing.
Oh yeah, I do work Midtown. That makes sense. Well, I used to. I haven't been in an office in 3.5 years.
Yeah. Damn.
Oh, that's creepy.
Lucky.
Back in look at see you
Yeah,
guys.
they're for a
That's
very small
phone.
price, you can be found very easily. Like you don't even really need to be stalked. Someone can just look
Damn.
you up that easy.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll
shit.
talk
All
about
It's,
right.
it's a
that
bit
offline.
scary.
Just a little.
Well, shit. All right, let's get back to this.
Yeah.
Sanctum.
So there's this guy they're on the same line. And so that means that, and I understand that would lead to the questions of whether or not you thought he was really getting the cops when he called,
Yeah.
Mhm.
or whether or not that was really another person and not just the doctor, mad scientist, pretending. Oh, yeah. So that's what we get up to. And then we have a commercial break.
For Lipton tea.
For Lipton tea.
She's so prim
When
and
is the
proper.
last time you drank Lipton tea?
This
Recently.
morning.
Yeah, recently, because at the grocery store the closest grocery store to me that's like not like American, it's Latinx grocery store. The only type of black tea that they have is Lipton. Everything else is like kind of fruit teas. So I have it. It's usually like my backup tea if I don't have like Earl Grey or Lady Grey, then I will drink that. But I mean, it's nostalgic. I like my uncle who passed away when I was like 8. He used to make me the best cups of Lipton tea. He'd brew the tea, and then he'd pour sweetened, carnation sweetened condensed milk in it. And
That's what my
that was
mom
the
used to
best.
do.
My stomach
And then
cannot
she'd pour
handle
it.
that shit now.
She'd pour it back and forth in a cup to cool it down.
To cool it down. A little bit of brown
Right?
sugar sometimes.
Yeah.
I never got brown sugar. I just got the sweetened condensed milk and poured back and forth, or I just got regular milk and sugar.
Yeah,
And she
regular
would
milk.
just pour it back and forth over the sink into the mugs until it cooled down, which I don't know the science behind, but like Caribbean mothers all pretty much do that.
Shout out to Caribbean moms.
Shout out to Caribbean moms.
I usually only drink Lipton tea now if it's seasoned. And it's because of my friend Sarah. She brews it with cardamom and cloves and cinnamon. Which one of my friends was like so like pumpkin spice? And I was like, I guess, except for the cardamom.
I don't think
and
I've
there's
ever
no
tried
ginger.
pumpkin spice.
There's no ginger, so it's not really pumpkin spice. But that would still also be delicious.
Yeah, it would be. Huh.
But yeah, usually when I want just black tea, I just get English breakfast.
I love it.
And I'm super into Harney and Sons.
Yeah.
English breakfast is lovely.
I had so much regret earlier because I bought one of those tins with the Earl Grey and I left it at my parents' house because like they never have tea that I want to drink. Like they have Lipton, but I'm a snob now. I don't want to drink Lipton. I want to drink the other stuff. And Twinings makes an Earl Grey tea that I tolerate, but I
like Twinings
not to drink because there's this other brand called Ahmad Tea, and I love their Earl Grey tea.
I've had Ahmad tea. I
haven't tried them.
It's like black tea though.
You should try it. It's really good.
What is it called? Put it in the chat.
Yep, I'll put it here.
I'll look for it. Yeah, sorry about our tea deviation, guys. We were colonized many moons ago in our home country, so we like tea.
It's part of the program, though. They have a whole ass tea break. There's 3 separate instances.
Very true.
They mention Lipton tea.
2 times it's tea and once it's soup.
Yes.
And I wanted tea when I was listening to it. The advertising worked on me. Yeah. I was like,
and her voice was so smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm
like,
a
log on the fire.
Yeah. I was
throw some logs on the fire. You can let the snow blow and blow and blow, and July will come springing out of your cup.
Right. It's 81 degrees in New York today. So I turned the AC on. So no fireplace. But I definitely wanted to like blast the AC, get under a blanket, make a cup of tea. I have some pumpkin loaf. Like I was ready.
It's so funny because until I looked up the original air date of this episode, I didn't know when it was. I was like, oh, logs on the fire, but it was aired in December, right? So it's you want logs on the fire. She's like, it tastes like summer, and no, I love that, and I love the contrast between Mary's optimism and host Raymond's just like macabre.
Right, looking for the next dad joke he could slide in.
Oh,
And
man.
talking about lining their cloaks with fur, which I
With
would
They're
fur.
shrouds.
They're shrouds. I'm sorry, they're
Yeah,
shrouds.
'cause
With
The
it's
fur.
first time I listened to that and I heard that, I said, Tanya's definitely going to bring that up.
In my Facebook memories, it said, if I get a fur-lined cape, you cannot make eye contact with me. Avert your gaze when I enter the room. So this has been a long-standing thing with me.
Avert your
Tanya loves
gaze.
cloaks, if y'all hasn't
You cannot
figured that out yet.
Yes,
contact
I
with
have
me.
many capes. None of them are fur-lined. I do have a fur coat,
Yeah.
but I do not have a fur-lined cape. And if I get a fur-lined cape, that's right. Avert your gaze when I enter the room.
Hilarious.
Cast your eyes downward.
Oh my goodness.
I'm insufferable once I throw on a fur, Alicia. I'm insufferable.
That's so funny.
I mean, define insufferable, because I feel like everyone has their
Basically,
shtick.
I glide like Janelle Monáe.
I
Okay.
was just about to sing it.
I don't walk.
Yeah.
I just float.
I just float.
Yeah.
I'm just fine. I saw Janelle Monáe last week in New York, and it was
I'm
amazing.
jealous. I wanted to. But
Nice.
I'm so
My
in love.
whack
Very
ass
jealous.
Yeah, she's beautiful. Like she's you
You
see
leave
her
them
on
babies
TV
alone.
and stuff, but just stunning, and just like every move that she made was just like you can tell it was intentional. Like nothing was by
Precision.
accident. You know, it's absolutely precise. I know that she's a theater kid and a performing arts school kid, but it's just like
Yep, that's what I was about to say. She absolutely
wasn't-
moves like a theater kid.
yeah.
If I wasn't so scared of ACS, man, I would have gone to that show Thursday night.
What is ACS?
The child services.
Jesus Christ.
Like getting my kids taken away is very scary to me, but like sometimes I'm like, I could risk it.
Oh
Yeah.
Lord.
And the thing is, like,
Well,
she played in New York twice, and I was like, I told Tanya I would have got her a ticket and babysat for her, except I had to train at 6:00 in the morning on Friday.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah. But next time she comes around, like it was fantastic.
Yeah, I need to.
Anywho, we're
Damn
back in the
child
room,
services.
and we're being trolled by the mad scientist, who's basically like, "Why are you so stressed out?"
Like, oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? Hold
Like,
on.
what's
We've
wrong?
entered the second phase. This is supposed to be
But you know what?
joyous. You know, you're supposed to be happy to move along.
It seemed like his feelings were genuine. Like I
Yeah.
really pictured a guy in a white lab coat, like taking notes, like complete
Mhm.
nerd,
Mhm.
completely neurodivergent, and just like focused on the task at hand and just being like, well, yes, this is the next part of the experiment, and not thinking like, a neurotypical person at all.
Yeah.
Just like,
Not
well,
at all
this is the
how
experiment.
wrong this whole situation he set up is.
No,
Yeah.
you're right. He's very much in it for science, and he talks about the Germans and someone else, like basically war enemies.
Hitler and Mussolini.
Yes, Hitler and
Yes.
Mussolini. So the Germans and the Italians, like this is something that was intuitive to what they were doing, the type of
And they
psychological
failed.
warrior that they, and he's like, I'm doing it intentionally because I want to know. But in the second act of this show, my favorite line comes out, and it's not because it's a great line, it's because of the way that it's voice acted. And that's when Betty says, "You're mad." The way that she says mad gets me every time. And she's like, "You're mad, really mad." And I was like, you know what? Shout out to you, because that was great. It was fucking great. It's like when Ursula is singing
Poor unfortunate souls.
Poor unfortunate souls.
And there's a part, the part where she says, and I admit I know a little magic, and the way that she says magic makes me rewind it every time she says it, because the way that she like bends those notes, amazing every time.
I still have to watch that movie.
I haven't watched it either.
It's
I'm gonna
good.
watch it
I
with
The
my
live
kids.
action. Haven't. Yeah, I've heard it's
Yeah.
great.
I liked it. My favorite part of the live action movie was I went in theaters and I watched it with my mom and my sister, and my favorite part was watching them just like smile. They were both beaming, because I remember like my mom was in her 20s when this movie came out. She was still a kid too. She grew up with us watching The Little Mermaid.
It's funny. The first time I tried to watch The Little Mermaid was when it first came to VHS, and I was at my cousin's house and we had to leave, so I never finished it, and I didn't watch it again until Disney Plus.
That's so long.
I
Oh,
know.
man.
So I saw it for the first time, like as a fully grown adult, and I was like,
I can't even fathom that.
So wait, so how did you think it ended?
I just didn't know. I mean, I assumed she ends up married to the prince, but I just like didn't know what happens. You
But
know, I
had you,
don't remember.
so question then, had you read the Hans Christian Andersen version of it?
Yes, because I have a
Hmm.
Grimm's like
Fairy
storybook.
tale, yeah.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
have one of those.
I want to get a fancy one of
I
those.
keep it in my headboard bookshelf actually, just in case
Mm.
I want to
Nice.
scroll through it.
Nice.
You know what? I want,
That-
if anybody wants to get me a birthday present coming up for any milestone birthdays, I want a
Yeah.
leather bound Grimm's fairy tale.
Mine's not leather bound, but it has like the kind of fancy cover that makes it pretend to be
Yeah.
leather bound.
I want the official shit.
But yeah, I
If
didn't
I
watch
can
it again
swing it,
until I
I'm
was an
gonna do a
adult.
down of
A what?
monsters from the Grimm TV show for
Mm.
one of my spooky season days.
I've never watched that show.
Me neither.
I think you would like it. And
Yeah.
I know you last time we talked about it, you said the people were too pretty. So you didn't believe that they would come
It
from
sounds like
that
something
dark
Nikki
forest.
would say.
I think, and that's why I remembered it because we were talking about Grimm. I think you would be very pleasantly surprised with how that show goes.
Okay. That's the only thing, because I was just like, vampires, yeah, make them pretty. That's fine. Like, these brothers who were like searching out and fighting monsters, not so much.
Yeah, that movie, they were definitely too
Like,
pretty.
it's not The Witcher.
Grimm doesn't do that. I mean, there's pretty people,
don't even start talking about The Witcher.
There's a way they show the monster in them, and it's very fun.
Okay, I'll give it a chance. Like, that show has ended, right?
Mm-hmm.
Grimm.
Mm-hmm.
You could find them all on Amazon Prime, I believe.
Well, I guess that's what I'll be doing when Wheel of Time is over.
I haven't had COVID.
It's almost over.
Yet, I guess. I haven't had COVID. And I keep thinking of all these shows I would watch if like I got COVID and just couldn't leave for a while.
Yeah.
Grimm would have to be put on that list.
Just make sure it's Succession.
I think you should put Grimm on that list.
Yes, I do have to watch Succession first. I
should
have to watch Succession. I need to finish Abbott Elementary.
Deadwood too.
I need to watch Deadwood. I'm in the middle of my Marvel timeline order rewatch, and I gotta watch the first season of Loki because
dude, I knew I should have texted you about that. Because I was thinking of starting mine a couple months ago. I was like, me and Tanya have been saying we were going to do something.
I know.
And I never sent the damn text.
I'm down because I haven't done the I haven't done the order.
We did it.
I did it in 2020, but I haven't done it since. So
we've done like Radar and I have done just rewatches in general, like all the way through. But like usually we would just rewatch everything before the next whenever a new movie was coming out. But now that shows and stuff had been added, we can't really do that. So we would just watch like the most recent. Then move on. So we decided to do a timeline.
Loki's coming out soon.
Yeah.
2 days, I think.
Yeah.
Or tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, we'll chat about that off screen. I'm putting that on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to get COVID, but if I do, I have a lot of TV to watch.
You got a list. You have a list already set in place.
Be careful because this new variant, the Eris variant, is
I don't want it.
And it's getting worse.
And it's got more
spreading a lot faster than people think.
Yeah, it's spreading a lot faster. It's actually spreading faster than I guess all the other ones so far. And
knock on wood.
Yeah, I mean, I've been testing like every day because I've been around lots of people and traveling.
I test like every time one of my kids coughs.
Yeah, I feel like that's the way to do it.
You kind of have to. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, anywho,
they're sleeping.
Are they being quiet?
It's extremely quiet. I'm not gonna check.
Yeah, well, we're live, so
yeah.
Okay.
Points were made. Points were made.
Prioritize. Yeah, so we get back and the doctor's trolling them. He's being a troll, and then the cops come.
And he says that too, actually, before they come in. Just before that, he's like, "Oh no, I know you're antsy. Calm down. And doorbell rings. It's probably the cops. And I know you want to talk to them. I'll make sure you get that chance. Let me go talk to them real quick." And right then and there, I was like, "Okay, yeah, that's."
But the way the cop was just like, "Yeah, some guy called me from here. It sounds crazy." It's like, bruh, are you serious right now?
Man starts apologizing and says he's just about to leave. You're not
like, don't you want to corroborate
him at his word? and the guy even says it. See, and this is
Yeah.
kind of
Like,
mental
all
in
you
the
have is
writing.
my word.
You know, we're not really sanatorium, as it were, but I do have some patients that I take in. You're not
At
going to
your
check
house,
on that
bro?
at your house? No signage of any doctor being anywhere on the premises.
But you know what? I will go back and defend that because I feel like not a lot of these places took a lot of these things happen in private residences back in that time. Like just imagine like a Brooklyn brownstone, right? You come to a Brooklyn brownstone and like I won't say all the people who were neurodivergent in a way that may have been dangerous to society or just women were kept on these floors. So I can see a cop come in and be like, no, no, no.
We're just women. I love that.
We're just women. I mean,
Well,
women and their hysteria.
it's not wrong.
Right. But you're right. It's like he comes in and he was like, hey, so I've been getting this call from these guys and they, and he's like, oh, you know what? I have these patients. Sometimes I let them use the phone.
No
And he's just willing to take that
asked.
so easily. No questions asked, no documentation, no anything. And then he's getting ready to leave. And of course, because this guy, he's the one that says, no, you should actually come check.
Yeah, come meet them.
And he goes in and he's already placating them. Just so
it's
okay.
He even
it's
tells
all right.
them like, yeah, I'll play along.
Yeah, I'll play along.
Right?
Really, sir?
Because but I'm thinking, not to necessarily extrapolate this information, but like, let's think about if I was a cop. No, I wouldn't even do that. The way that cops handle people with mental illness now, like, is that something that you really want to get involved in? They usually don't, right? Like, it's either, okay, just extreme force applied because they don't know otherwise how to react to the situation. So if I'm a beat cop coming to investigate a thing and with someone who I already think is a nutcase, I don't want to be involved. I'll take your word. You're the doctor. You're in the lab coat with a slightly German accent. Like, all right, you must have this under control.
You probably know what you're talking
educated, about. Exactly. And so then I'll walk away. But the fact that he insists, he's like, no, go talk to them.
Why is that not a red flag? And we go in, and this is what I was talking about earlier.
It's like reverse
what's her name?
psychology.
Betty. Mm-hmm. She tries to back Joe up. She tries, and he never replies to her at all. She might as well have just been talking to a wall. He stays talking to Joe and the doctor. Hysterical. Yeah, what would she know? Of course she's in here. They're always in hysterics, those women.
You just need a good orgasm.
In this one.
The fact that there were actually prescriptions for that.
I wish my doctor would prescribe me an orgasm. I'd be like, okay.
Me too. Like, you know what? You need several orgasms and by the seaside. Okay. Sign me up.
Doctor's orders.
I can probably make that happen. I don't need you in the room for that, though.
Well, no. But doctor's orders.
Yeah. Here, take this thing.
Show that to your boss for a 6-day excuse.
Right.
Sorry, Mr. So-and-so. I can't be your secretary for 6 days because I've been prescribed orgasms.
My bosses are rainbow kids just like I am, and they would both laugh their asses off at me and tell me to get the fuck up of the office.
Oh, man.
God.
No, this shit is funny. Because like the cop's like, I'm gonna play along, and so nobody believes them. And my second favorite part of this episode, besides like voice acting or just ridiculous shit being said, is that the cop leaves and Dr. Helming is alone with Joe and Betty, and he goes, "Well, children."
Like that didn't work out the way you thought it was going to work out.
Wasn't Joe supposed to be like 26 or something?
Yes.
Yeah, they're everyone's an adult here, and he's just that superior to them in his thoughts.
He's like, see, that didn't work. Now what are you going to do? And he keeps insisting. He's like, yo, I know everything that you're going to do. I've seen this experience.
And there's nothing else you can do at this point.
Like, you're going to try to protect her, but it's not going to work. And eventually you're just going to give up trying. You're just going to
instead he shoots him in the chest.
Hold on.
Yes.
There's a part that we did skip over though. The other guy that was on the line.
Like Lazari.
They actually do try to team up and try to find each other in the building, and they were making headway, but yeah, then he
There
got
was a
himself
continuity
shot.
error in there in that I didn't detect until I listened again right before.
What was it?
It's that Lazari is describing the room that he's in. He's like, it's dark. I can't fucking see. I don't know where I am. He's like, but it's like a cement floor and a stone wall. He said stone wall.
Yeah,
And
no
then he starts
windows,
banging
no
on
doors.
no windows, no doors, but he's banging on a stone wall with what? How are they going to hear him banging through a stone wall with his fist? I have a brick wall right here. Like if you want to hear me on the other side, my fist is going to be bloody, broken, and bleeding. You know, like I can't do that.
And you
so
still won't hear it.
You still won't hear it, right? So that was a flaw on the writing that I caught. But otherwise, yes, I felt like it was sound to be able to knock on the walls and figure out where you were.
What I thought was happening there, though, I thought that the doctor was listening to the conversation and that he was the one doing the knocking. I didn't think Lazaro was knocking.
That's
well,
really
they that's interesting. Yeah, right. Even more creepy.
I never
because
thought that Lazaro was knocking.
I thought they both thought that they could hear each other.
Right, but I never thought that Lazari was knocking. I thought that the doctor was knocking, and that's what they were hearing, and that Lazari was just somewhere else.
Interesting.
That never occurred to me. Wow. No, I feel like that's a great catch.
Good catch.
Yeah, I could see that being a thing because I misremembered this episode because it may have been another like something else that I listened to, but when the way that I remembered it was that they found the door, or that Helming opened the door and they saw his body, and then they moved the body. He moved the body when the cops came and it wasn't
when
there.
the cop got there,
because they were so convinced that the man was dead that I thought for sure that they had seen him. So when I listened back these last 3 times, I was like, oh wait, they never saw the body. So it may have been
he was
another episode
asking.
that I was listening to. So yeah, they just asked, but they never actually saw it. So
they never actually saw him. Yeah,
I didn't.
Yeah, that's a really good catch.
I did not think that the doctor was Lazari. I definitely thought Lazari was a different person. I don't know that I believed Lazari was dead, but I also didn't believe that they heard Lazari knocking. I thought that it was the doctor knocking just to like go along with the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, the doctor could have been
give them some hope.
He could have been in the room with them. The way he was
could have been in the right because it was always still dark. But she was also did the knocking back and didn't, or maybe I'm misremembering. Didn't he say that he could hear when she was knocking too?
He did hear. He did say that he could hear. So it could be like if she was knocking and like the wall of stone, that maybe the doctor was knocking too because he's listening in on everything. Especially like they've got 2 lines. What's to say there's not a 3rd line?
There's not another one, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that just makes it even.
Wow. Yeah, then we go into the whole Tanya's going to break Nikki's legs part of the fucking story.
Oh my!
He goes, "Hey, girl," and I said, "This bitch."
He was like, "I knew that you had some nerve." You know, basically, he's sitting there.
The first thing he said is, "I thought you'd be small."
He's like, "I thought you'd be small. I knew that you had nerve, but I didn't expect for you to be pretty." Because he was like, because he hadn't had a chance to look at her yet because they were all stressed out, and now they're like, "Well, I guess we're all gonna die." Because that's what Helming says, right?
Why are you staring at me like that, Joe?
Like, enjoy these moments because they're gonna be your last.
Exactly, and that's what set me off. Because he's like, these are my last moments. Hey, you're kind of cute. I was like, oh no.
That don't you get to get your dick wet, bro.
I was so scared. I was like, I know this.
Why are they always creepy? Why is it so easy for dudes to turn creepy in these situations?
I feel like that's what, if this was written today, I feel like that's what would have happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I told a friend of mine that on this podcast that I'm the horny one, and she said, I wish I could say that I was surprised, or that surprises me. And I said, huh, really? But see, if it was me, I feel like, these are last moments? Okay.
Trying to get it in one more time?
I mean, is it my last moment? Yeah. I mean, how long?
Like, I wouldn't risk weak dick on my last moments, but I would put this pussy on his mustache.
I didn't say it had to be weak dick, but I feel like survival dick is always probably gonna be.
I don't know. It could still be weak, and I'd be really upset. I would be really upset.
What if
If my last few moments was me just like
Mm.
finished.
Did I do the laundry?
Right.
A
I could have had a
snowball?
V8.
Right.
Ah, yes, the youngins won't get that reference.
You know what, Tanya? You could have brewed some nice Lipton tea.
I could
Some lovely Lipton tea would have been a great way for them to go out, because they could just forget about all of their troubles. It would be nice and warm. They remember July just springing out of the cup. It'd be so lovely and brisk. They wouldn't even notice that they're about to die.
I love it. I love it. You know what I really like about this episode, or this series specifically, is that they like Lipton Tea is a sponsor, but some of the other ones I listen to, like they'll do the commercials and they'll be like, Ella LS MFT, LS MFT. Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. And then they go into a whole commercial and they have doctors advertising Lucky Strike as the cigarettes that they choose. So that's the other. I wanted to be conscious of that when I chose this
Wild.
episode too, because those
Can I tell
episodes
you guys
made
a
me
fun
want to
thing?
smoke.
I've
Well,
never
there-
smoked.
There's I don't know if you guys were still in Dare
Yes,
back in the day. Okay, so
What?
elementary school.
Dare? Oh, I was
I
a
remember-
Dare. I was a proud Dare graduate. Don't even get me started.
in case you guys don't know,
I feel like
Dare
you would be the
is
one to have the award.
Drug
Abuse
Abuse
Resistance
Resistance Education. I
Education.
wrote a whole paper about it that I won an award for, about why I would never smoke. And my illustration was a skeleton in a coffin. And I won I don't know, like the best writing competition or some shit for that. And then I
Did
went
you-
on to smoke for 20 years.
So Dare worked on me. I never
It worked
smoked.
at the start. for
No,
me,
Dare,
but
Dare
yeah.
absolutely worked on me. I'm absolutely terrified of drugs. But did you guys, did your schools ever do the drunk driving thing where like they where the fire department brought a crashed car to your school and like had
No.
Okay, so this is gonna sound really crazy. So basically,
We
the
just had
teachers
McGruff,
would be like,
crime fighting dog.
they would tell us that
Yeah.
like there was an assembly. We'd go outside and you would see a totaled car and you would see bodies and like blood. And basically, they
What
would
grade
get.
was this?
Clutch
This
my
was in
pearls,
high school.
actually.
This was in high school.
Oh,
The fire department would bring
Y'all
in a
still had
totaled
Dare in
car, and they would have like students like pretend to be dead and like blood and stuff, and would tell us like this is what happens when you drive drunk. And they would have like, so they would have like the crashed car, the car's already crashed and totaled or whatever. Students with like blood on them, clothes ripped, and a mother screaming and like like screaming, tearing her clothes, like going
so they
all
call out
in.
the theater
Rending
kids
her
over
garments.
Yes, rending her garments, gnashing her teeth over her dead child, and that was like their anti-drunk driving thing from my school.
Wait,
Wow.
what's the sample that you told me? We were talking about this the other day.
There'll be a weeping and a mourning and a gnashing of teeth. It was a weeping and a mourning and a gnashing
Oh
of teeth.
man.
So yes, they would have that, and it would
That's
be like students pretending to
hilarious.
be dead with like a mother crying her eyes out over her dead child's body, and they'd be like, "Yeah, so don't drink and drive because this will happen." But I will say, every year we did
Wow.
lose someone because of alcohol.
Yeah, that's true. We
Yeah,
didn't lose
that
anybody.
was never a
Oh
setup.
my god,
we
it was
had.
like a curse. It was so bad for my school that they started doing a senior casino night, the night of graduation, just to keep people at the school partying without
to keep-
alcohol.
Wow.
Because like every
Interesting, wow.
year there were deaths. Every
Yeah.
single year there were
Damn.
deaths.
That
At
happened.
the night of graduation.
night
It
of
was
graduation.
really bad.
I know that happens
Mm.
here for like proms, like prom and graduation, like homecoming. That's a big thing. I remember when I first moved here and I went back to Virginia, that there was like a little section of this like really dark road that goes down a hill where like some kids had crashed and died. And not that people didn't drink and drive in Germany, but the legal drinking age in Germany is like on a military
younger,
base,
isn't it?
it's 18. But
Yeah.
hold on, my thing is reminding me to do something. Hold on a second. One sec.
No problem. Here's a fun fact for you, Alicia. My mom didn't know that the drinking age in the United States was 21. So at my high school graduation party, she served alcohol. And I was the one who had to tell her, Mom, first of all, I hadn't turned 18 yet when I
Oh, that's
graduated. I was still
hilarious.
17.
Yeah, I was
And I had
17 too.
and I had to tell her, like, Mom, we can't drink. And she's like, What? It's just what was it? Irish cream and rum coolers. I mean wine coolers.
Yeah,
And I was like, Mom, we're 17.
that's
Yeah.
She's like,
lightweight
Well,
for
you're
us, but
almost
yeah,
she was like, You're almost
US don't see it
18.
like that.
Yeah, she's like, You're almost 18. And I was like, The drinking age is 21. And she had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like so on military bases it was 18, but like when in Germany it's 16, right? It's like 16
Mhm.
for like beer, and then you had to be a little bit older to drink like hard to purchase hard liquor. But the driving age in Germany is 18. So people have been like they get drunk before they drive and stuff. So that didn't happen for us because and if you wanted to be able to drive and you're like in your parents in the military, you had to go back to the States and get a license, then you can come back and then you
And
could
then
drive.
come back.
But yeah. So that was the whole thing. I remember on my 18th birthday, I went on base. My parents were like, "What do you want to do?" I was like, "I want to go buy a 6-pack of beer." And so we went to dinner. And after we went to dinner, I went to the shop and I went and I bought a 6-pack of beer and I brought it back home and I like drank it with like some friends. And yeah,
My eight
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to do.
my 18th birthday, tattoos had just become legal in Massachusetts.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yes.
tattooing had
Huh.
just become legal, and so I got my belly button pierced and I
Tattoos.
got a tattoo. My whole back is tattooed and I forget all the time.
I always forget you have tattoos too. And
'Cause
you have like
The
a big
middle of my
one.
back
Yeah, it's
is
my whole
empty.
back. It's like my whole
I'm
back, and I
planning on
honestly
putting a
forget it's there.
Stargate there at some point.
I'm
I
planning to
don't know if
just
you guys ever
finish out
watched
my
that show.
I have not. I'm planning just to finish out my back just to do it, maybe add some color. I just haven't I was supposed to be like what I did for my 40th birthday, but then I just didn't do it. Just kidding, I'm 27.
Happy 27. I can't wait till you're 30th. We're going to have such a good time.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Okay.
Yeah. So
Lost the plot of what I was
children.
gonna say.
My bad.
Yeah, no.
I'm sorry.
No, wait, no.
This 9.5% beer has got me all over the place.
Yeah, I don't even know where.
Really? It was a cop that he would bet my whole class
It's
that
minus 9%.
$1 if we could find a cigarette ad on TV. Because by that time it was outlawed. You weren't allowed to advertise like that for cigarettes or any type of smoking products like that anymore.
Yeah, it's. I think people were really shocked. I would come back to the States and I'd like, oh, people like, oh, we should buy cigarettes because I didn't. My parents didn't know I smoked, but they kind of did know I smoked, But I didn't have to go to the store to buy them because they just had cigarette machines out there. So I'd get like my 5 marks. Deutschmarks back when it was before it was the euro, and I'd find them and I'd go to the cigarette machine. I'd pick the one that I wanted. I used to smoke. That's when I used to smoke either Marlboro Reds or Lucky Strikes. And I put my thing in and bloop, I'd pull out the thing, take my cigarettes, and then I go smoke my cigarettes.
I remember at this time, like my uncle had an ice cream shop and it was called Jolly Time, and I used to love that place. But they had a vending machine with cigarette candy. So you put, you pull it out and it'd be like, it'd be like the little candy cigarettes. And so I would sit there pretending to smoke, and my mom would buy them for me, and I'd just be like, and mind you, my mom never smoked, but I'd just be sitting there like, and I'm like 6.
Yes, it was because we were conditioned to think that shit was cool.
That it was cool.
It was like
cool
I knew.
sexy.
Yes, I knew that I had successfully quit smoking for 3 reasons. One, the first one was that I stopped bumming cigarettes off of people when I was drunk. 2 was I stopped craving cigarettes when I was drunk. And the third one was that I could listen to these like old time radio shows or watch like old time movies and like black and white ones where everybody's smoking and not want a cigarette. That's how I knew.
I have never tried a cigarette before.
Oh, I love that.
You're not missing anything.
When I tell you,
when I smoked heavy,
on me.
Apparently. Yeah, I tried cigarettes once, and they were just not for me. My whole smoking career was just black and milds.
My aunt accidentally burned me with a cigarette, and I was like, "Fuck that noise."
Yeah, no, I love them. I smoked a lot, and then when I wasn't smoking a lot, it was like just a couple of cigarettes a day. But you know, because it's like I enjoyed like
the ritual of it.
I love that.
Yeah, especially when you're drinking it.
When
Hits
we're drinking,
the
or
right
when
way.
you're like right after a coffee, or with a coffee, that shit was so
Or a
great.
stressful day.
Or stressful, like all those things. I quit smoking out of spite because I got into a fight with someone, and after like not a physical fight, I got into a confrontation, an
An
argument that
altercation.
was very heated. And afterwards, I was like, ugh, I was so upset, and I went and I started smoking a cigarette, and I looked at it after I exhaled, and I was like, wait a second. I was like, why am I killing myself? If I die first, they win. Fuck that. And I never smoked again. I was like, no. I was like, I'm gonna live,
appreciate.
and it'll be 4
You
years.
know, I like a good petty. I appreciate the pettiness of that action.
It'll be 4 years in January, and it's the hardest
Congrats.
thing I've ever done, and it's the thing I'm most
Congrats.
proud of. Yeah,
Congrats.
That was that's one thing. It was never hard for me. That there would be long intervals that I wouldn't smoke, but then I would. The most I'll do now, especially since lung surgery, is maybe a vape every now and then. And that's only been recently since the lungs have recovered more.
Yeah, for me it was like really perfect timing because I didn't know that I was going to get COVID 4 times and then have Delta variant that gave me long COVID. So
yeah, you are literally a mutant. I feel like your mutant X gene isn't operating the way it's supposed to operate, though.
I know. I just earned my second mutant eye earlier this last year. That's a whole other story.
Well,
yeah.
That's
So
Inner Sanctum, Dark Chamber.
yeah, I mean, I guess what happens next, right? They shoot the doctor. Joe shoots the doctor because the doctor is stumped. The doctor was like, you know what? This shit is over. I'm gonna let you out. I'm gonna let you out. Joe's like, hey, baby, what would you be doing if you weren't in here right now? Like, we would be on a date. You'd be my best gal.
He's fantasizing about seeing her and dating her outside of this. If they wouldn't, like, bro, why is that where your brain goes, man?
And it's not even that he's fantasizing. He's like, you know what? He's like, if we had met before this, like, we would not even been here right now. I'd be taking you out to dinner, blah blah blah. And this is the thing that like spurs him to find hope and to fight the good fight. Because the doctor comes in. I think that the doctor comes in and was like, you know what? I've done all my paperwork. I got the research. Y'all can go. And instead of him being able to go, Joe fucking hides behind the door and he shoots him. The doctor's like, wait, no, that's
hold on. This was no.
I thought they was gonna let him go. I really
didn't think he was gonna let them go at all.
I thought he was gonna see how far it goes. And then what I thought was gonna happen when he shot him, I thought the doctor was pretending to be shot and it was going to be like blanks. And he'd be like, ha, 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 ha.
If the doctor
was try that too. And then it would end there. And it's like, it's so hopeless.
If the doctor had been smart, he would have used blanks.
He was still so focused on this experience. Like, no, I have to know what was it because of the girl or what was it? And see, again, this is where I'm side-eyeing Betty because that whole little last bit of conversation while he's in, Joe's walking through La La Fantasyland. She's also given a similar talk like the doc was in the beginning, talking about, well, something's changed in you, Joe.
Yeah.
Is there some new type of something in here? Is there this or is there that? Wait a minute, Betty. Wait a minute, ma'am.
I'm
starting to not feel sorry for you. Look,
it's like I didn't side-eye Betty for that reason. I didn't side-eye Betty for that reason. I side-eyed her because I was like, wait a second. I was like, you know what? I understand. We've all been in situations where you just have to play along for your safety.
Absolutely.
Right? You're just like, I don't know what's going to happen, but obviously he's feeling himself right now. He's talking about our future. I'm just going to nod and
smile and slowly back away.
Exactly.
And that's pretty much what she did. Because, we said, go find the phone. I don't think she went to find the phone. I think Betty went to, even though I was side-eyeing her, I think she went to find the front door so she can get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah.
And I don't blame her one bit.
Yeah. It's so crazy because Tanya mentioned when we started talking about this that she expected this to go absolutely awry, but in the opposite direction, right? She expected Joe and Betty to get fucking murked. But because it is 1945 and we're coming out of like a wartime,
Yeah, you can't have the stars dying.
You can't have the stars dying. The hero has to win, right? The hero has to win. The underdog
good must conquer evil.
Win. Exactly. So there's no way we're going to get that.
That's how I feel about Wheel of Time, by the way, but we'll talk about it another time.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Yeah, for sure.
Actually, yeah, I do need to talk to y'all about that. Thank you for the
Yeah.
right reminder.
But I think the other thing that makes this, that it's like, for me, it's like this ends right. Joe and Betty, they escape, and the thing that places it
Mhm.
back in the time frame for me is the fact that they're talking about ways to help support curing tuberculosis,
Yeah.
right? Like, I'm just like, whoa, 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 whoa.
What
Like,
was
even
it?
if I
Easter
look,
seals?
they were
Something
getting
like that. Or
Christmas seals.
Christmas seals.
Christmas
Yeah.
seals. That's it. That's it.
Which I had to Google, and it was just like, oh, these little things that you bought, and it's like buying a little like coupons or whatever to go towards a
Like
good
Captain
cause.
America selling bonds.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. And I think about it because my uncle had tuberculosis when he was a kid, and he walks with a limp because of it, right?
Mm.
My
And it's just
godfather
like,
had polio.
right, these are all
I was
these.
I
gonna
was like,
say, yeah,
wow,
that's
Actually,
just
no,
like
it was
polio.
sorry, it
I
was
was like,
polio.
those are
Yeah,
more recent than we think.
they are more recent.
Yeah.
Than I think so. You
Far
know,
more recent.
I would say get vaccinated, but don't come for us. Just get vaccinated. But these are the reasons, right? So if that's what puts you back into the era, and I think that, like, there's that, like, Mary the tea lady is talking to us about that. But then, you
Yeah.
know, my favorite thing also about the show is, like, he ends the show, the host Raymond. Well, one, that Mary calls him Mr. Host instead of Raymond because she's so polite,
Mr. Host.
and
Mhm.
two, that he ends it every time he talks about the next episode, and he was like, you know, this was a scary thing. Good night, pleasant
Where the drink's on you.
dreams. You know, it's not like good night and pleasant dreams. It's like good night, and then
Pleasant
he's like
dreams.
dreams.
As
And he,
someone prone to nightmares,
like,
I
imagine.
was like,
I don't know what,
touche.
right? I don't know what time of day
Yeah.
this is airing, but it's obviously late night because you don't want the kids listening to this shit before
It
they
has to
go
be
to
late
bed.
night. Yeah. This is their primetime TV.
Right?
You
It's
know,
like
the 8 o'clock. The kids
9
go to bed.
o'clock. The kids are in bed, and then
Yep.
at 9 o'clock you're
It
sitting
just
there
reminded
listening.
me I need to check on my kids.
The kids that you said you wasn't gonna go check on because they've been too quiet for like the past hour.
Well,
They
now we're
must
at
be
the
sleeping.
end.
Yes,
Now
now
we're at the
they
end.
must be
Well,
sleeping
see, what you guys would know about Tanya and her kids is that she's got one kid who puts himself to bed
every night.
every night. She doesn't have to worry about him. I've seen him do it.
The responsible one.
He folds it. He takes his clothes and he puts them in the hamper. He put
Mhm.
hamper. He brushes his teeth. He puts on his pajamas. He gets his iPad and he goes in his bed and he goes to sleep. And I had, like, until I had seen
And
it
then
happen IRL,
there's
I
the
was
other
like,
one.
"Shit."
And then there's
Yeah.
the wild card,
Yeah.
who this
Yep.
morning at 4 a.m. was wandering my kitchen until I finally checked on him to see exactly what it was he was doing.
Oh man, he
Yeah.
cracks me up.
They're hilarious. Both of them are hilarious in different ways.
Yes.
They've both been on our
Indeed.
30 Tuesday streams, so
Yeah.
you know,
It's
so much for hiding them.
the younger one is
It's
the one that
it's
I
always a
know was,
pleasure
like,
seeing them.
born in this era and used to, like, run whiskey and shit. He was a bootlegger back in the day.
I mean, we've already seen how he be running Tanya.
Clearly.
Make a certain sound at the right frequency in a certain place, and that means snacks, Mom.
Here I go.
Now,
Yep.
thanks.
Yep.
It's not just her. He's gotten me too.
I'm sure. I'm
He's
very
running-
sure.
He started daycare a couple weeks ago, and now he's running that place too.
I meant to ask you about that because I saw the post on Instagram.
Yeah.
He looked
his
like he was
first
already
day.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He stands guard at circle time. He won't sit. He just stands. He lets them do, like, the story, but he won't sit. He stands for the whole thing.
Hey, he's not disrupting anybody standing. You
You
want to
gotta
be
keep
you
those
wanna play
calves in
guard
shape.
man? Go ahead, bro.
Trying to maintain his muscle tone.
I guess so. Stay on his
Hey, I'm not gonna be
toes.
weak like y'all. They're not gonna catch me sleeping. I feel like that's all Tanya's fault, honestly. I've heard some of her doomsday plans, man. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. We won't get into
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, next time.
Join us next week for Twilight Zone Mirror Image.
Ooh, I can't wait. I'm gonna have to watch it. Wait, where
I
can I
think
catch
I've watched that one.
It is on, I believe it's on Paramount. Paramount Plus.
Paramount. I'm gonna have to Google it. I bet I
You're
can
gonna
find
have
it.
Yeah, I
too.
don't have
You're
Paramount.
gonna have to come over because I borrow someone else's Paramount, so I can't give the login.
Are your children sick?
No,
Are there any coughs or sniffles or sneezes? Because you know I can't come.
Garvey has a constant runny nose.
This is a reminder.
It never goes away. Oh, I see Alexa is telling her things.
Now I was
She
gonna
has to
say
mute.
Alexa's sending commands
Giving
again.
all the reminders. My doorbell's about
Yeah.
to ring too.
Yeah, it's because I need to record my sister's birthday video right now.
My doorbell's about to ring too because Cindy's here. Oh, nope, she knocked. Hold on. Let me just tell her to
What was
hold that thought. Let me just let her in real quick.
Yep.
The Twilight. Let me see where else you can find this if you don't have Paramount.
I have a allegedly I've heard of a decent site
Amazon
that I can
Prime.
find some things
It's on Amazon Prime.
Is it on Prime? Okay,
It's on Prime and it's on Pluto TV.
I also have Pluto. Wait,
Yeah.
do I have Pluto? Is that the free one? No, it's not.
It is. I think it is free.
Is it?
It's like Pluto and TV.
There's an I'm thinking of Peacock.
Yeah.
Pluto is the free one. Yeah, I have both of those. Groovy.
And you know what? I'm looking at it, and it looks like Daily Motion has uploaded the entire episode.
Yeah, there's a lot. I think I caught up on American Horror Story watching Daily Motion because they had somebody put it on there at like 2 times speed. So blew through all those episodes in like half hour each. It was great.
I thought I muted, and I definitely did not. My bad, y'all.
All good.
I thought you did. We didn't hear you until you came back in.
Yeah. Well, now we now know in this time.
Cindy's with us.
I see a beautiful red dress.
Hi.
Oh, there's a face. Hi.
Aw, I missed you. I haven't seen you in forever.
She said she misses you. She hasn't seen you in forever.
I know.
So now you can watch. We know you can watch the Mirror Image Twilight Zone from season 1 on Pluto TV, Amazon Prime, Paramount Plus,
and that is next Tuesday's selection.
That is
next Tuesday. Yes.
Yeah.
So Oh, AK, what do you have to plug?
Yes, plug your shit.
Oh God, like I'm noticing more and more. I got to do a lot of shit on this damn website. Let's see. Tomorrow's actually a free day. Thursday, I will be on with the boys, fandom and DJ. We're going to talk about the Wheel of Time. Not the Wheel of Time. Sorry, this covering a lot of shows right now. Ahsoka, and I believe that's actually the finale for Ahsoka.
Oh, that's on my list too.
Star Wars. Then check it out. It's so good. I'm
so far behind on Star Wars, just in general.
So easy to catch up. Swing by DJ11's channel for that. I'll send the links to the ladies, and if
drop the links in the general chat if you can.
Yes, we'll do. Friday, I believe I am running a Jackbox session for our Citadel Trivia crew. Probably gonna make it like a whole sequence of murder trivia because it's spooky season, and why not? Murder trivia is a really fun freaking game. If you haven't played it, swing by Citadel Trivia, and you'll be able to come and join in with the audience. And if you never played a Jackbox game, then even more fun for you. We'll teach you how to do it. It's very simple. Coming up Monday is when we'll be doing, which I think is the finale of Wheel of Time discussion, because I think the last one comes out like tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
I'm so sad.
Thursday.
So yeah, and actually, yeah, it comes out Thursday. So actually, yeah, I'll need to wrap with these two ladies once we're done here to see if we can get a full panel for the finale discussion. Swing by my channel for that one. And I've got a few things.
We'll have to get our recording done early that time.
yeah. That's what I was going to ask you when you guys recording, because our times don't always sync up. But but yeah, y'all know how I do finales. Well, those of you that have been around, I love having a full panel on, so we get all the awesome ideas and thoughts on what's coming for the future, also. And starting like the 19th ish. I'll be doing my 13 Days of Halloween. One thing that I'm really, really looking forward to doing is Nikki and I are in a writers group, and our group has agreed to do some cool stories for us based on some of my favorite 2-sentence horror stories. So I'm thinking of making it like a tribute to Are You Afraid of the Dark? Something like that. So I think it's going to be really fun, and we're gonna have just some. They won't be long. Not all of them, I don't think. Yeah, we'll just have everyone's going to narrate their stories, and we're going to drop it in a video. And I think it's going to be really fun because we have some very creative people.
I've started writing mine, just so you know.
Yay!
I've got I've got a couple of paragraphs, and based on a conversation I had with Tanya, I think it's
based
actually
on a dream I had.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then followed up by an article that I had that like confirmed some of these things, I think I actually have an angle. So
I'm
we'll
very
see.
very
Yeah.
much looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first prompt I gave out was Tariq because he
Mhm.
got to me first and then you were the
Yeah.
second. So
Yeah.
I just dropped everyone else their prompts today. So
I like.
I know
I want
Jackie's
to
already
ask.
looking at hers.
I want to
So-
ask them, but I won't. I just want to.
Well, you're gonna see them anyway because
Yeah,
you're putting all the voices together. Yeah, that's the thing. I told them everyone has to be secret on what I give them. So the only person that's gonna see it besides me before it comes out is Nikki.
Okay.
So we're all gonna be surprised together, which I'm very excited about it.
I want to.
think
I
it's
want to
gonna
hurry
be
up and
pretty
write mine
awesome.
soon so I can give it to Tanya to sound design.
Awesome. I mean, Tanya,
Yeah.
like I would like a full sound design too, ma'am. If you're
Yes,
feeling friendly.
I'm always looking for stuff to play with. I'm
Yeah.
still learning sound design. I'm super excited about it. So I'm always looking for stuff to play with. Let me throw
Awesome.
reverb on your shit.
I would love to collabo.
Yeah.
Let me throw in some random black
Um,
samples.
Make it do what it do. I
Yeah.
think that's pretty much everything. Also for the spooky season, I'll be doing like my favorite witches, favorite werewolves in different fandoms. The witches I think I'm doing with our ladies from Drawbridge Media, Abby and Melissa, and me and a couple of my little sisters are going to be counting down our favorite werewolves. So
Love it.
I'm making my family hang out with me on YouTube.
I
I
love,
love
it.
it. I
Yeah.
love it. Mine absolutely would.
But
not.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
I've been trying
That's
to get
pretty
Jackie
much it.
on
There's a
here.
few things. I think
Yeah.
you can. I think you can. She's fun.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you
So
know,
just be on the lookout, guys. Hit my channel up. Watch the notifications,
AK
and you'll see the random things.
watch.
Yes. Oh, and I also talk about random nerd stuff like the Wheel of Time and Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon and all that stuff on there too.
Yeah. All the stuff that we love. Yeah. And I guess like you said, coming up, like I'm going to write a story for AK that will be narrated on here. And our next 30 Tuesdays is next Tuesday, the mirror image from the Twilight Zone. Then we're doing the following Tuesday is the craft, and then Beetlejuice. And 1-2, Freddy's coming for you in the original Nightmare on
My
Elm Street, which
favorite.
AK is going to join us too. for that
Yes, we are going to wrap up the Nancy trilogy. We're going to do that one for you guys,
Yeah,
and then
that's my
on my
favorite.
channel, we're going to do Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Awesome.
Whew. Yeah. Lots of
Wow.
good
So much
stuff.
fun coming up for spooky season, guys.
Love spooky season.
I love spooky season and Christmas season are like
Yeah.
it for me.
The faves.
So,
Absolutely.
The faves. All right.
And my
well,
birthday happens to be around that time of year too, so it all works out.
even better. Well, that's our stream. Thank you. See you later.
Thank you for having me, ladies. Always a
Good night.
blast.
And pleasant dreams.
Dreams.